Welcome to the Forged in the Fires podcast with Fireman Rob, where resilience meets reality. Hosted by Fireman Rob, a firefighter, Ironman athlete, and mental health advocate. This podcast is your destination for stories that inspire, motivate, and ignite change. Each episode features incredible guests who face life's toughest challenges head on, sharing their journeys of courage, perseverance, and triumph. From first responders to world-class athletes to everyday heroes, these are the stories that remind us all of the strength we have within. Get ready to forge your own path, because here, we don't just overcome, we rise above. This is Forged in the Fires with Fireman Rob.
All right, welcome back to Forged in the Fires podcast. I'm your host, Fireman Rob. Today's guest, man, I go through her bio and I get tired, and then I am talking with her before this, and she's tired, and I'm tired, and this is just going to go really good. I know it's going to go good. My guest today, she's a keynote speaker. She's a leadership expert. She's been an officer in the Marine Corps. She is an amazing individual. Jill Schulman, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this is awesome to be able to talk to individuals like yourself who have, your life experience. I love your life experience because it's so powerful to see the dynamic nature. And then you take that and then you build, you founded the Breakthrough Leadership Group. But I want to take a way step back. And I want to go to the Jill who started her journey to being who she is. When you were a United States Marine Corps officer, what was it? What was the premise behind you starting that? Because that's not something like, hey, let's go to In-N-Out Burger. That is a big adventure. What started that journey?
It totally relates to kind of, I think, the research I'm doing and what I'm writing on, which is bravery. But, I just have always wanted something bigger, different, or more. I grew up in the Midwest. So I grew up in Minnesota. There's a really great, I think, example that my parents showed me the path I didn't want. Mom, dad, don't know if you're listening, probably won't, hope they don't. No, but my mom and dad both had jobs, and their jobs were just a means to a paycheck where they want to do the bare minimum. It just wasn't inspiring. And I'm like, is that what life is supposed to be about? Right? I wanted something more. And I think just growing up in the Midwest, and any of you that are, it may be really cold where people live, you see, and I was a young teenager, I'm not going to say how many years ago, because I'm going to age myself. You see all the TV shows about just people exploring the world and doing all that. So I decided that I wanted to, potentially join the military. And when I started looking into the different branches, I was like, the Marine Corps. The few, the proud, it's the hardest. I want that one. I didn't want the Navy. I didn't want the Air Force. I didn't want the Army. I wanted the Marine Corps. And I wanted it because I knew that if I could be successful and become a Marine, coming out the other side of it, it would be more meaningful. It would be more special. So and let me just tell you, it was a really, really pitiful path to get there. It was not easy. And there's a lot of mistakes I made, and there's times I didn't think I'd make it. But the fact that there was so much adversity and I came out on the other side, so I think that's things in life, when you try to seek really hard things. And by the way, I thought I was kind of a badass until I read about you. And then I realized I'm a complete slacker. I've never been done an Ironman. I just wanted to, I don't know, maybe it's a desire for significance and meaning. Yeah. That's what started the path. And that's what got me through all those tough times too, to finally accomplish it.
Do some of those tough times, when you look back at those, do some of those tough times really, do they motivate you, or do you go, God, that wasn't really that tough when you look at it now?
Well, when you're, yes to both. So when the challenge is in front of you, it's like, oh my God, this is going to be so hard. And how do you stay motivated? And then you get it done and you're like, wow. I tell people all the time, I'm like, if I could become a United States Marine, anyone can. There was so much I had to do to get through that. But now that I look back, I'm like, yeah, I did that. So I think it's both. And but the question you asked me, like when something's hard, like, what do you say to yourself? So here's a little story. So I went through the NROTC path to becoming a Marine. So
Okay.
basically, you get a full ride on the military. You like wear
Bust
your
your butt though.
uniform. Yeah, you do. You do bust your butt. I mean, it's even hard to get the scholarship, but so I went through that route. And so when most people get on a plane to go to college, so for me, I left Minnesota. I went to the University of San Diego, Southern California, to
Okay.
go to college. And when most kids show up to college, it's just like party and meeting other kids.
Nope.
Unless you're going into an ROTC unit, then you show up for orientation, which is basically a mini boot camp for college kids. So let me just tell you, the first day that I showed up, I was like really, I was a little nervous, but I was kind of confident. I'm like, I got this scholarship. I got it. Like I was a leader in high school and I was an athlete and I did like all these things. And I showed up and let me tell you the rude awakening. So I actually was wearing, I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I wanted to show up professionally. I didn't want to be like in
Oh no,
jeans.
you didn't.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I was wearing hot pink silk shorts that were now back in this. They were like pleated that kind of went down to above my knees. Then I had a white silk shirt with like the matching collar, and then I didn't want to look too girly, so I wore pumps, but they were like low pumps that were pink to matte.
Well,
Oh my God.
that helps.
Yeah, that really helps. And so just if you can imagine like a scene from Legally Blonde,
Yeah.
and imagine like everything you see in the movies about Marine Corps boot camp, and you get the picture of my first couple of days.
If that's not a book cover, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it was, and then someone came up to me the very first day. This was upperclassmen. So the people who ran this like mini boot camp were the seniors that were about to get commissioned, right?
Yeah.
And you look up to him, but one of the guys came up to me and said, "You will never, ever make it as a Marine." Right. And this,
Yeah.
what you asked me reminded me of that. So when I heard that, what did it do?
Huh.
It freaking fired me up. I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's so many hard times in the next couple of years that it was hard. I wanted to quit. And I'm like, that motherfucker. I'm sorry if I shouldn't. Maybe
Nope,
clean
that's
podcast.
totally no, this is not clean.
Yeah. So that kind of drove me. Like
Yeah.
that really drove me. So yeah, I think yeah. So when I see a challenge, I'm like, bring it. And then if someone tells me I can't do it, it motivates me. I don't know why, but it does.
I love how you embraced your inner nerd, how you wrote that and got your master's in positive psychology. How does it look when you go back and look at yourself? Because a lot of people, that's the hardest thing we do as adults, as kids, is look at ourselves internally. How do you look at yourself internally in the past to bring out the best in the present? Because I think that's what people who suffer with mental health issues, people who do those kind of things, what does that look like from you? Because you are that hard charger, you are that leader,
Mhm.
but yet you went into this field, and it's a pretty cool field to be able to find out what people are like. How does that relate to that mindset?
Yeah. Well, and I think about just like psychology. Like I think anytime we look back, we have to praise the progress we made and focus on what we've accomplished. That's
Yes.
the thing that we should be doing, but also be looking to the future on like what's that next mountain to climb.
Right.
And I think part of the reason like I wanted to study psychology is I'm totally a nerd at heart. And, I've been teaching leadership development in companies for years. I've had my company for 10 years, and before that I did it in Fortune 100 companies. But
Oh wow.
I really was like getting really interested in how do you both achieve greatest success and also achieve highest levels of happiness and well-being?
Huh.
Because some people can be like super, super hard charging, motivating, but then they're maybe mental health, they've got challenges, they're unhappy. And then there are some happy losers out there too. Right? And I didn't
Love
want to
that.
be any of them. So
Right.
I started like learning more about how the science of positive psychology can impact the business world. And I started being interested. I started reading more, and I'm like, fuck it, I want to go back to school.
Yeah.
Like I want to go study it. And then just like the Marine Corps is the hardest, I'm like, I'm going to apply to the University of Pennsylvania. an Ivy League school and see if I can get in there. And then I freaking got in and I was like, holy crap, like it's all these smart people. And that was, I don't know what was harder.
Now I
Like,
gotta ask, the first day that you went to school, did you have a guy come up to you and go, "You will not succeed here"?
no, it's the opposite. Think of positive psychology. Everyone's like, you can do it. We
You're
sing
like,
Kumbaya.
I don't know if I can now. It's like a reverse
Yeah.
psychology.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I went back and I studied that. And what I really ended up doing, I took a deep dive because when you go to some of these master programs, they want you to like learn everything. You have to master the entire field in terms of understanding the whole field and the evidence. But then the last project is doing a deep dive in one little area that you're most passionate about. And it was really the intersection of both achievement and
Okay.
well-being. And it was just fascinating. And that's where I've just
Wow.
kept going down that road. And one of the things that I discovered, and this comes from the research of Marty Seligman, he's like, there's five things that contribute to the highest levels of happiness and well-being. Really quickly, the P is positive emotions. It's a PERMA analogy, PERMA. So P is positive emotions, which is the things we think about: joy, happiness, smiling, laughing, right?
Right.
The E is engagement, which is like being in flow, like being like losing track of time because you do what you love. The R is relationships. Duh. I mean, everyone knows relationships is the M is doing something that is meaningful, meaning kind of like the Marine Corps, but the A is accomplishment. So one of the
Hmm.
five
One of them.
contributors is accomplishment. So I kind of did that deep dive in there. And a lot of times people want to accomplish things, but they're too freaking scared.
That's so true. And now here, I want to ask you this because it's something. I think it was a pro athlete. I can't remember who it was, but they won the Super Bowl, and they were talking
Mm-hmm.
about it. They won the Super Bowl, and they said it was the greatest day of my life. It was what I wanted to do from when I was a kid. And they were interviewing a few weeks after the Super Bowl, but he said the day after was one of the worst days of my life
Because
because
it's
I
what's
didn't know what I wanted to do.
right.
How do people get out of that mindset that they're going towards a mountaintop, and when they get
Yeah.
there they're going to be it's going to be just amazing from there? How do you
Yeah.
get them to have that positive psychology, that positive mindset,
Mhm.
to just understand that it's just a road, it's a journey?
It's a journey, exactly. And I still like the analogy of like, what is the mountaintop that you want to climb? But we have to realize that the what we think about happiness and achievement isn't correct. So a lot of people think like, when I achieve this, I will be happy. And yes, as soon as you accomplish it, you will have that happiness, but it's fleeting. So really the equation is backwards. So instead of thinking that when I accomplish something, I'm going to be happy, really what we need to do is happiness along the journey actually supports our ability to accomplish great things. So
Oh, I love that.
we got to kind of like, we got to enjoy the journey, like, enjoy the challenges, the wins along the way. So yeah, so
That's
happiness leads to success, not success brings you happiness.
I love that. That is such a powerful statement because, and then looking back at your life when you started down this leadership
Mhm.
path, how did your view of leadership kind of did it change, or was it kind of stay the same as you went?
No, it definitely changed. Like, I mean, I think I learned a lot of foundations in the Marine Corps, but like anything, like life is about lifelong learning. So, I had a successful career in the Marine Corps. I only stayed in 5 years and decided to get out and then start in
Only,
corporate.
come on, that's still a
Only,
long
well,
time.
did 5 years. My joke is I started by blowing shit up for a living. So I was a combat engineer officer. And then I started selling drugs,
Oh, nice.
the legal kind in the pharmaceutical industry. And then I moved up and had various jobs there. But I think what I realized is, when I became a new leader in the pharmaceutical industry, like I was a freaking nightmare to work for.
Oh,
Like
wow.
seriously, I was so high achieving. Like, I mean, they were like, who the hell she think she is? Like, she thinks she's a drill sergeant. Like, I was just barking orders, right? And so I had to learn that I learned that I had a lot to learn.
Huh.
And the reason why I started doing leadership development is because the leadership classes that I took when I was in the pharmaceutical industry as a young leader
Yeah.
profoundly impacted me. And I had those oh shit moments when I go through classes and going, oh my God, I'm doing it wrong. So I think I'm still learning. Like
Wow.
I'm a leader of my company, I'm a leader of my family. I'm still trying to figure shit out and how to be a better person. And I think that's what we need to always be doing is like, how can I look inside and like, not just the mountain externally, but sometimes the mountain is us. We got to lead ourselves to get better and better. So
So
that's what
true.
ultimately led me to start doing leadership development because I'm like, what a profound impact did it have on my success? And then I was happier to do the job because I was doing it the
Right.
right way, having better results, enjoying it more. And I wanted to create that same transformation for others.
That's awesome. I love that. Now, you said that, you're a wife and a mother. How does that change your life as far as when you're looking at mindset? You talk about bravery. How does
Mhm.
that mindset, how do you instill that mindset in your two teenage daughters? Because that's a huge thing to do. And trust me, I have three kids and it's stressful.
Yeah, it is. You try to teach them all the lessons. Now, let me tell you the ages of my teenage daughters, 17 and 19. All right. So, so I don't have a story of how I've taught it. Like it's still a work
You're
in
in it.
progress. I'm in it. But what's interesting is, I mean, I do try to teach these things, but I try to like drop them in. My younger daughter, her name is Brooke. It was Veterans Day, so she was off of school, and
Mhm.
I had to go. I was asked to be the keynote speaker at a veterans event, and
Yeah.
so I went to this organization called Working Wardrooms, amazing organization locally, and I did the keynote. And they needed some volunteer help to check people in. And my daughter came. I'm like, hey, why don't you help and volunteer? And then she heard me. And it was so funny. It was like, I didn't even plan on doing this, but it was a sneaky way. So she heard me develop my keynote, which is on bravery and mindset and
Yeah.
all those things. And on the way home, she's like, Mom, why don't you teach me this stuff? And I was like, oh my God, I've been trying to do that, but you are so resistant. So, I haven't figured
Uh,
out how to teach him, but I'm hoping as I write the book on bravery now, I mean, it's
yeah.
hitting the shelves in May. I just can't wait till they read it someday, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I haven't figured that. If anyone on your show is an expert in how to like actually bestow your wisdom upon teenagers, just let me know because I'm all ears.
Yeah, I'm I'm not there. I'm not there. I've got a 17, 20, and 22. So yeah,
Mm,
yeah. It's just how do you see, because there's a lot of parents and a lot of CEOs whatnot that listen to this. How do you split the difference? Because I think
yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
times when you get in that leadership role or officers or anything like that, how do you take that kind of leadership role that you have as an officer or of a
yeah,
CEO and tone it down to be
yeah,
able to be part of a family? How
yeah.
do you do that? Because I think that's hard for people.
I think there's the wrestling that we all have inside between do I push my people or my kids to become their best?
Hmm.
Or do I take away challenges to make them comfortable? And it's always that balance there. And I'm between my husband and I am the hard ass that pushes the hell out of my kids and challenges them and doesn't want to take away adversity because I think that's the path to prepare them for life and be great humans.
Right.
My husband wants them to be happy and wants to take away things that would disappoint them. And he loves doing things for the girls.
Right.
He's not right. I'm not right. They're two different approaches.
Right.
And I think between the two of us, we balance. So, like, I mean, I have worked really hard, like, over the years to work on my own emotional intelligence and to make sure that my expectations are their expectations. So, like, I'm at a place now where when you're leading people, like, if you're a leader of a company or if you're leading your kids, you got to really find out what do you want?
Yeah.
What are your goals? And then try to help them believe that they can get there. And when they want to give up on themselves, right, to be able to do it, those are the times to push them. So push them toward what their goals are. And I think before I was like, you have to get good grades, and you're not going to do it my way. And I think I was kind of pushing them to go down a road that I wanted them to go down when they're younger. Now I realize like they have to choose their life. And as long as it's what they want, I think we should push them and help them realize they can do more.
Right.
Um, and I think in our younger generation, if I can say this, we're
Yeah.
just getting too freaking soft.
Yeah.
We're getting too soft, and I think especially the younger generation, there's a misperception that comfort is the road to happiness, and it is not. Comfort is the worst addiction, and I hope before they're out of the house, like I can just share that, like do really hard things that lead to what you want, and then
Right.
life will be great.
I love when I look at the Be Brave self-leadership model, your three pillars, because it's
Hmm.
I love
Yeah.
it. Mindset, actions, and connections. Like
Yeah.
those three combined, I mean, it's so powerful I love reading it because I'm just like,
Yeah.
well, duh. That's
Yeah.
so smart. When you came up with those three pillars, what did
Hmm.
they mean to you? Because I know a lot of authors and a lot of speakers have that personal connection to what they speak about.
I
What did
do.
those three really mean to you?
Well, I came up with those three because I think I've experienced it, but then it's like these two things came together and it was like this aha moment. But I was doing my research, right, at
Mhm.
UPenn, and I was looking at what are the things that elevate like happiness and well-being, but also help us with achievement. And these three things emerge. And then I looked at my own life and said, wow, like you have to first, like, the mindset is if you don't believe it's possible, then you're going to be you're gonna have flat tires at the starting line. So
Right.
you've got to start with self-belief. And I teach like four different strategies like within there. I don't want to go into detail or we'll be on for 2 hours. So I don't want to do that. But it starts with how you think. Do you believe that it's possible that you can do it? So it all starts there.
Right.
But then some people are dreamers. They always talk about what they want to do, but they don't take any freaking action. Drives
Yeah.
me crazy.
Yep.
So if you're not going to, so first of all, let's believe that we can, and then brave actions are that's where the discipline comes in. Like each day, are you taking action toward your goal, even when you don't feel like it? And this is when we go back to comfort. I know your bed feels good and you don't want to get out of bed. Get out of the freaking bed.
Right.
Like, what is going to help you achieve your goals, right? So, this is like the day in and day out. Another really important things under just the brave action is coming from a positive psychology perspective. And this might surprise you and your audience is one of the keys to take action to achieve your goals that you're trying to believe that you can do is to anticipate the obstacles that will
Really?
be in your way. Yeah. So wouldn't you think it's supposed to be all optimism, like everything's going to be
Right.
rainbows and butterflies, everything's going to be easy? But no, Gabrielle Oettingen's work from the University of Manchester very clearly says that when you anticipate obstacles
Wow.
on your path, that is the key. So when something wrong happens or when you run into an obstacle, it's not like
It's not a dead
sky is
stop.
falling. You're going to be like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. And
Yeah.
I've got a contingency plan. So these are some of the things like I'm so passionate about teaching it because people like want to be braver. They want to accomplish things they don't know how. So we teach them how to develop the mindset. We teach them how to take brave action. And sometimes people don't know how. They're just like, I'm too weak. I don't have enough willpower. But there's ways we can teach them that.
Right.
And then the brave connections. I mean, the brave relationships, you've got to be brave enough to ask for help. So don't just do it alone. Like, find the person who's done the hard thing that you want to do and go up to them and say, I really admire that. I'd love your help, your advice. And when you're run into an obstacle or you're down in the dumps or you need a boost of motivation or some advice, then you have to call and ask for help. So
I love
I
that.
call it, you got to curate the brave tribe that will help you in those moments. And it takes bravery to reach out to them and
Yeah.
say, hey, I want some advice. It takes bravery to be vulnerable to say, like, hey, I'm stuck. I need help. So, yeah, reach out to people and get people to help you. Because if the path is arduous up to that goal, that mountaintop, there's going to be times where you're going to need help. And
Right.
so we need the people to help you along the way.
I love that. I love that. Make sure you go to jillschulman.com. You can find out all sorts of things, all about her programs, about herself. Your book is coming out when?
Um, end of May,
End of May. Okay.
End of May 2025. Yes. I
Awesome.
say that because we keep pushing it back. So it used to be mid-May, but now it's end of May 2025. I can't wait.
Brave action.
Yes,
You got to
brave
have it
action.
end
We
of
need to get
May.
exactly. Thank you for that. Hold me accountable.
I love it. Make sure you go to jillschulman.com. You can find out how to have her come and be a keynote speaker, all sorts of great things on there. Before you leave, you can't leave yet because I have three questions for you. Are you
Oh
ready for
boy.
those?
I'm ready. Bring it.
All right. If you could tell yourself one thing when you're 18 years old, what would that one thing be?
It would be to leap bigger and sooner.
I love that.
Take a bigger leap.
I love
Mhm.
that. All right. So the second one is everybody's going through struggles and challenges in their lives. If you could give them two tips that they could incorporate into their daily routine or daily life that can help them to continue to move forward, continue to
Mm.
progress forward, what would those 2 tips be?
Great. The number 1 tip is I want your audience to realize that they can generate positive emotions to help them take steps forward. Sometimes we think that emotions happen to us and there's nothing we can do, that we're powerless. And that is not true. There's a book by Barbara Fredrickson called Positivity, absolutely fascinating read. And what she teaches is that you can generate positive emotions. You're not a victim of your emotions. You can generate them. So like one example that you hear people talk about all the time is deciding to think about 3 good things that have happened to you each day. It's going to be different for everyone. It might be like, hey, I had a great cup of coffee in the morning, but gratitude is an example of how your brain can't be thinking of what's wrong if it's thinking what you're thankful for. So that's that easy tip. And then the second thing is, and it kind of goes back to just all my work on bravery or like, taking steps in the presence of fears. Don't wait until you feel like it to do something. Just do it. I want people to lean into taking action, because when you do it, then you feel better. Like, I use the analogy of, so it's anything in life. Like my husband's really into cold plunging. I'm like, who would want to get into a cold? I think it's the stupidest thing. It sounds.
Hey, you're from Minnesota. Cool. You should know this is good.
I should know. I moved away from Minnesota for a reason. I live in sunny Southern California. But like there's an example, and like I think I got challenged by my husband many times and I didn't listen to it, but then someone challenged me publicly in front of a bunch of people and I'm like, I'm freaking gonna do it. So like, I didn't think about it. I didn't sit there for an hour just like that. You freaking get in there and you just do it.
Right.
You get out and you're like, that wasn't so bad. I'm so glad I did it. So just all those little things. If you wait until the fear is gone to take action, you will never move. So I want people to take action when they don't feel like it. When in the presence of fear, if they do that, like and it's a muscle it's like your bravery is like a muscle. The more you do that, the braver you're going to be. So generate positive emotions with gratitude and just get up and take a step forward. You'll feel better after you take the step. Even if you don't feel like taking the step, after you take the step, you're going to feel better.
I love it. This last question is going to be fun. All right. So if you could have coffee at a firehouse table, so in other words, any question you can ask, it's going to be answered at a firehouse table with 3 individuals. They could be deceased or alive. Who are those 3 people going to be?
Oh,
This is always a challenge.
Epictetus,
okay,
a famous Stoic philosopher.
Wow.
Okay. I love him. He's got all these quotes I have all around my office. Like one that I'm looking at right now is, how long are you going to wait before you demand the best of yourself? He's a former slave that became one of the thought leaders. So Epictetus would be one of them. Secondly, I would say Adam Grant.
Okay.
Love him. He's, probably the world's most famous organizational psychologist. I'm just fascinated at how he brings the theory, because I'm trying to take everything I know and bring it to organizations, and he can translate psychology to that. And then beyond there, like, what? I just think Jocko Willink is a freaking badass beast, and I want to meet the dude. So can you imagine those 3 people? Like, Jocko, and then Adam is, kind of like bald and nerdier looking. Sorry, Adam. And then Epictetus. Those 3 people would be pretty freaking awesome.
That'd be an epic coffee at the firehouse table. I love it.
Thanks for throwing me a curveball there. Like that took some thinking, but no.
But you got the mindset. You took the mindset. You had brave action of verbiage, and you just trusted the system.
There we go. Yeah.
Jill, it's been such an honor to have you on. Make sure you go to jillschulman.com and find out more. I appreciate your time today.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening and supporting the Forged in the Fires podcast with Fireman Rob. Remember, don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast. And please share this episode with a friend or family member. To find out more about Fireman Rob, or if you have a question, go to www.firemanrob.com. Until next time, live your life forged in the fires.